As we come out of lockdown, it's worth just asking the question, how is the economy doing? And we had some data on that from the Office for National Statistics. It's about GDP, basically the total amount of money that we're generating across the economy. And you can see the level of it here. So it went down around the point of the financial crisis back in 2008, up, and then you can probably spot where COVID-19 happened. An enormous fall there. And the good news is the latest data, and that's for February, shows there was 0.4% growth in February. And if you put that and the previous months together, a little bit better than expected. But still, just look at the gap between where we are now, or at least in February, and that pre-COVID level. So that the zero line there is where we were before COVID struck, 7.8% in terms of that gap at the moment. And just to put that in kind of monetary terms, you're talking about £164 million, or getting on towards £6,000 per household. But the good news is we are heading in the right direction. So the latest forecast from the OBR, they do the forecast for the government, show it kind of getting higher and higher so that we do get back to that point around the middle of next year, so back to pre-COVID levels. So that's good news. But here's the thing, it's not just about getting back to where we were before COVID struck, it's about getting back to that trend. You know, the economy was growing back then. It's about trying to regain all of that lost growth. And look, that's the pre-COVID trend. And if we just zoom in a little bit, you can see there is a bit of a gap there. And what the OBR is talking about involves some permanent scarring. In other words, permanently foregone economic growth for all of us. It's not the first time that we've had something like this, potentially. If we just zoom out and look back at 2008, I mentioned the financial crisis a moment ago. Back then, you can see that the economy went down a bit. It doesn't look that big, does it? But look at the trend. So if the trend had continued, I'm going to have to zoom out here so you can get a good sense of it. If that trend had continued, you know, we'd be about 30% bigger than we are, or at least we were before COVID struck. You'll be familiar with this, potentially, talking about trend growth, talking about foregone growth. A lot of people talked about that when it came to Brexit. And one of the things that we've been looking at recently is what's happening to trade, because that's one of the ways that feeds into growth. You'll remember that trade volumes fell very sharply at the start of the year. Well, we've got latest data through. It shows that those exports mostly did bounce back, but imports over there, they bounced back quite a bit less quickly. We'll keep watching that in the coming months as we get more data on it.